and across different countries as well. So we are really, really blessed with technology, given today's topic as well, and also to have you here today. So let me just put up my notes. So we are officially starting the session, and good evening, everyone. And on behalf of Inspired Growth NPC, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to another edition of our monthly masterclass. Of course, whether you are joining us from South Africa or elsewhere or in the African continent and indeed around the world, we are grateful that you have chosen to spend your evening investing in your leadership journey. And our purpose as Inspired Growth is simple, but it is profound, is really to inspire leadership, to empower people and create visibility for those who are shaping Africa's future. So tonight's conversation couldn't be more relevant. You know, artificial intelligence is changing industries, automation is transforming work, digital platforms are redefining communication. Yet, despite all of these technological advances, leadership remains deeply, deeply human, and technology can process information, but only people can create meaning. And technology can automate tasks, but only people can inspire trust. Technology can predict behavior, but only people can build relationships. So tonight, we ask an important question: how do we lead beyond technology and unlock human intelligence? But before I go any further, let's start with introductions. I'm Nobile Pamela Taba. I'm one of the co-founders, the chairperson for Inspired Growth NPC, and of course, I don't work alone. We've got Dr. Pet Mazibuko, who's our executive director, and we also have a board that works with us behind the scenes. And today we are just so excited because we've got a special guest who's going to enlighten us, a very well accomplished leader in Dr. Ndlovu. Welcome, Dr. Ndlovu. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Sis Pamela. Thank you for having me. It is my pleasure to join this movement tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. I will also hand you over to Dr. Pet just to say a few words and some intros, and then we can continue with the session. And then you can also introduce yourself fully, Dr. Ndlovu, to the leaders that have managed to join this evening.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you so much, Chair. Good evening, colleagues. A special welcome to Dr. Matie Ndlovu. So, Pam, in the interest of time, I'm not going to say much, but I'm going to say to everybody that has taken time to join us, today we're going to just invest a little bit in unpacking and unlocking human intelligence from a leadership perspective point of view. And we're therefore hoping that Dr. Ndlovu is just going to mesmerize us, and we're looking forward to some of our colleagues contributing here. And as part of our culture colleagues, when we have got this kind of sessions, you can engage with us. One of the things is that you can basically write on the chat, or we'll give you an opportunity to basically ask a question or two, bearing in mind that we have got some time constraints. Back to you then, Chair.
No, thank you, Dr. Pet. So I think let us start because we aim to finish by 7. And so Dr. Ndlovu is a respected thought leader whose work continues to influence leadership, strategy, and organizational transformation. And so we are really, really honored, Dr. Ndlovu, to have you today. And I'll just allow you, sometimes I try as much as I can to stay away from reading people's long bios. And actually, because if we have the leader here as our guest, it is sensible for us to say, please just enlighten us in terms of, who you are, where you've been, what you've done, and, what really, really resonated with you with this topic tonight. And then we'll take it from there. So with that, I will hand over to you, Dr. Ndlovu, to just tell us, who is Dr. Ndlovu?
I didn't see that coming. There's really nothing special, but I must say I'm still honored. I said this from the beginning that I'm honored to be here, and my background, I'm stemming from the IT background, and I've spent, I must say something like 2.5 decades, in the IT space. But when I left corporate, my desire was, to work with human beings. Leaving computers. In fact, it's not really leaving computers, but taking my focus away from computers to focusing on people. So that's where, I started with mentorship, leadership, coaching. That's the space that I'm in. And it's not, I'm enjoying the space, not because of money, but because of, the impact. And I think South Africa, as we know it, we've got the Madlanga Commission, we had the Zondo Commission in the past. For me, all that it's to do with, the values that we hold as individuals. It's to do with, how do we understand leadership once we are entrusted, to lead, or we are entrusted in positions of power. Do we get drunk when we are in the positions of power? So I can say this. I was introduced to leadership at tertiary institutions. And for me, I think that's where we are getting it wrong as the country. We need to start teaching leadership, as early as, primary school. And that's what I'm doing. I go to primary schools, I teach leadership at primary schools. That's what I do. And, at high schools, because they need to grow knowing what it is to be in the position of power. Personal development, leadership and personal development, in my world, it goes hand in hand. So that's just me. I'm just, I'm very much, this topic sits very close to my heart, leadership. Well, with technology, like we are going to be talking tonight. So thanks, my sister.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Pet. Thank you so much for this wonderful, lovely introduction, Dr. Ndlovu. So, Dr. Pet, I'm not sure if you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, Pam, but in the interest of time, let me not say much. I will cover that when I basically go into some engagement. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you so much. So I think let's really get into it, Dr. Ndlovu. I mean, artificial intelligence has become the headline of every leadership conversation. These days you cannot talk without mentioning AI. But here tonight we are talking about human intelligence. Why is this distinction so important? I'm just asking this question just as a conversation starter, and then you can just obviously continue to lead us for what you have prepared for us.
Right. No, thank you very much. I think in respecting our other leaders on the line, I'd like to take this opportunity to greet everyone. And thank you for taking out the time, to be with us, to be with me, to listen to what I have to say. I'm grateful. Before, I think, your question would be just unpacked as we go along. I do want as well to take the advantage of what the poster, the writings, the words that were used on the poster. It said it's the masterclass. So, a part of me, I'm a teacher at heart. So I definitely would enjoy some engagements. I think with technology, this classroom, we have the emojis and all that. I would love, when I ask, I'm going to ask you guys questions as we go along before you can start asking me questions. Now, with this topic, I'm going to speak from my heart. I've prepared some notes as well, but I've, it's a few notes so that, I can see my timing. But yeah, so the topic, it's saying leading beyond technology and unlocking human intelligence. And I'm taking advantage of the words that were written, that it's leading beyond technology. It's not saying it's leading despite technology or leading against technology. It says beyond. And for me, technology is not the enemy of the conversation tonight. but it is a doorway, you know. So the question I want us to sit with for the next few minutes together is this. Now that machines can think alongside us, you know, as leaders, what exactly is leadership for? If you get that question, we've got computers, we've got the machines that are able now to think alongside, you know, us. So exactly, what is leadership for if we have these machines? You know, so these questions, it's framing the entire discussion tonight. And yeah, what is the answer to that question? I will give you the answer. The chief business of the 21st century leader is not to outcompute the machine, but to outhuman it. If we get that difference, you know, we need to outcompute them. It's not to outcompute the machine, but to outhuman it. The computer must remain the machine, and we must remain human. So we need to separate here now. What is it that goes to the machine? What is it that the machine should be responsible for? And what is it that I should be responsible for? The topic talks about human intelligence. We cannot, when we talk about human intelligence, for me, it is important that we touch, as Pat was saying, Pam was saying about AI. We cannot leave the other intelligence, which is artificial intelligence. Now, I would start by actually looking at the essence of human intelligence, contrasting that with the artificial intelligence. Because in contrasting that, maybe let's define what is human intelligence. You know, because you know we tend to use the word loosely. At times, you know, we talk about IQ. You know, which is not what human intelligence is. You know, human intelligence for me, we are talking about. It's the bundle of capabilities, you know, that make me as a person make meaning more than decisions. You know, it makes me to make meaning, my intelligence. One, where in judgment, weighing incomplete, conflicting information, and still choosing a direction with conviction. That's intelligence. Number two, context and lived experiences. I mean, it is knowing that the words that are spoken in a boardroom in Sentin will have a different meaning, even if it's the same words, but when they are spoken at a shop floor in Newcastle, they would have a different meaning. So that's context. That's lived experience. I've been in at the shop floor in Newcastle. I can understand, you know. But, you know, also now I'm in the boardroom in Sentin. Things are different. We are saying the same things. But with my intelligence, I can appreciate the difference. Moral imagination. Sensing not just what is possible, but what is right, what is fair, and what is kind. That's human intelligence. Relational trust. That ability, the slow built currency that makes people follow me even when nobody is watching. They still want to follow me. Intelligence. Meaning making. Turning a set of facts into a story people can believe in and act on. That's human intelligence. Now, I'm contrasting this with the other intelligence, which is artificial. Artificial intelligence, by and large, is extraordinary at pattern recognition, at speed, at scale, at consistency. You know, it doesn't get tired at 4 o'clock. It doesn't bring the baggage, from a difficult morning conversation at home, into our 2 o'clock meeting in the afternoon at work. Artificial intelligence doesn't have that. But also, it doesn't feel, it doesn't know how it feels like to be the only person in the room who disagrees with the popular idea. Artificial intelligence doesn't understand the weight, carrying the weight of a retrenchment decision, taking that that decision home, or having to share that decision with employees to say, now we have to cut down the workforce. Artificial intelligence, it will never relate. So this is how we contrast that. Because of time, I just want to share maybe a typical example. Let's say at work, we've got this AI-driven applicant screening tool. We have 2 candidates. Our tool is scoring them the same. They've gotten the same through the algorithm. They are equal. But it will take a human being, a hiring manager, that when he's speaking to the 2 guys will say, you know what, I've noticed, one candidate, they were describing a failure that they have recovered from, and the other one was like speaking fluently about the successes and everything that they have enjoyed. Now, reading in between the lines, reading the authenticity under pressure, noticing that this guy who was describing, the failure that they have recovered from, looking at how they're sharing the story, it's only the human intelligence that would say, wow, okay, here I can sense that this is my guy, or this is that person is not my guy. You cannot leave that to artificial intelligence to do it for you. So whilst artificial intelligence is necessary, HI is a must. It is a must. Why the contrast? This contrast matters for leaders, not just people in the technology space. And on this question, this is the mindset that I want to plant earlier on in our discussion. AI is not becoming more human. AI is not becoming more human. But we are at risk, we as human beings, we are at risk at becoming more machine-like, more transactional, more metric obsessed, more allergic to ambiguity. If we don't consciously protect that which makes us human whilst adopting these tools. So tonight isn't anti-AI per se, but it is pro-HI, pro-human intelligence, that happens to take AI seriously. We take AI seriously. Okay. Now, if we understand there is a place for our HI and there is a place for AI, maybe we may need to, it could be a question that I can ask and say, in one word, can you be able to tell me something that, that AI cannot do, but only you can do? something that you cannot outsource. The more you know what you cannot outsource, it tells me you understand your position as a leader. You cannot be outsourcing everything. No, man. So just, think about that. I'm even tempted to say, if there is such a thing that you have in your life, write it on the chatbot. Oh, man, look at this. Samsung is saying, empathize. Can you get AI to empathize with your situation? Never. It cannot. AI basically gets trained to do certain things. And, as far as that training goes, it is as far as how it's going to be serving you. Now, let me get onto my, I'm calling it section number 2 of my talk, which is about the future leader. What to be, what to ponder as a future leader. The leaders that were tomorrow, and maybe some are still today, they happen to be the knowledge holders. And we are shifting that. We need to shift from being a knowledge holder to a meaning maker. That's a shift that's required. Now, I can say without fear of exaggeration that in the past, a leader's authority rested partly on knowing more than the room. When they know more than everybody in the room, that man is our leader, or that woman is our leader. But I mean, that currency is slowly losing value. And in fact, when I'm saying slowly, no, I'm wrong. It's devaluing quite fast. To be the person that knows more than everybody in the room, man, it's the thing of the past. In my own experience, I'll share the story. I worked for Sasol, and I kept on moving from one. Sasol's got various sister companies. So there was I was moved to Base Chemicals, and that was the main I think in the company structure within Sasol. They are the guys who are bringing more money into Sasol. But their IM team was so difficult. Everybody was like, no, we're done with those guys. You don't want to go there. And I remember when I was being interviewed for that position, my leader then, who's the group CFO now at Sasol, he said to me, these guys are quite difficult. We need a leader, who knows, how to turn the situation around. So, Matie, what is your leadership principle? You understand these guys are not easy to manage. I was like, oh, okay, so you're asking about my leadership principle. He said, no, yeah, tell me about your philosophy. I said, yeah, no, of course, leadership is very close to my heart. So I said, here is the quote. I'm going to give you the quote. It says, before you ask for people's hands, touch their hearts. And he was like, no, man, I hear you. Before you ask for their hands, you touch their hearts. How are you, tell me more. How do you go about touching people's hearts? And I knew that was the next question. So I said, as a leader, it is important that within your team, before you talk about the technicalities of the job and what it is that, they're supposed to be delivering and all that, understand what are the things that they care most about. If I've got, say, ladies in my team and they've got children, their children are close to their hearts. So I need to be able to talk about their children. I need to be able to know their names, as far as possible, get to know when their birthdays are. The more you start talking about those things with your team, if it's guys, if they're interested in rugby, soccer, you need to know those things as a leader so that you can have a conversation with them. That creates now a bridge that connects us. Otherwise, me not knowing what you are interested in, it creates the wall that divides us. So leadership, we are in the people business, and we are creating bridges to connect with our guys. I'm telling you, it was just only 4 days when I was with that team, the environment, things, the mood started changing. Because I was intentional. I said I needed to meet everyone. In fact, this has been my leadership approach. When I do one-on-one works discussion, I would ensure that I spend 80% of my time general, but 20% then talk work. 20%. I'm telling you, if we need to work overtime, we need to work over weekend, I didn't have to beg people, because I decided that I'm going to intentionally lead and connect with my guys. So coming back now, okay, these guys basically, they were SAP experience, SAP, but I didn't know SAP. I was able to manage a team and we delivered results. And, I'm so proud even today of what we achieved. So this is why I'm saying, leaders, you cannot be saying I need to know all. Then I get my I get the authority to lead them. We are, because even knowledge, we can quickly get AI to give us, answers and, anything like that. We are supposed to be making meaning. Knowledge is no longer scarce, but what is scarce is meaning. It is judgment. The ability to say, here is what this data is mean for us. This is what the data means for us. And here is why it matters. Judgment, the meaning. Right. So let me share 5 postures of the future ready leader. 5. So number 1, you have to be a curious learner. You treat every AI output as a first draft to interrogate, not as the final verdict to accept. You have to ask why before what's next. So that's point number 1. Number 2, context keeper. You, as a future leader, you need to be holding the institutional memory. You need to make meaningful relationships. That's what a future leader needs to be doing. Number 3, ethical anchor. A future leader, must be ready and willing to slow a fast, efficient AI recommendation. Slow it down if you sense, there's harm here or there would be unintended results. Slow that decision down and interrogate it. A future leader needs to be a talent multiplier. So AI is going to free some of your time. When AI frees some of your time, you as the future leader, you take advantage of that time and not to surf the net or do any other things, but you start working with your people, mentoring them, coaching them, having discussions around succession planning. You use that, to multiply the talent. You develop the pipeline within your organization. So that is what a future-ready leader should be doing. And they should be storytellers. Man, I was excited when I heard for the first time that GIBS, they've got a course on storytelling. I was like, wow, this is the course I need to be doing. So what does a storyteller does? They convert, the dashboards and model the outputs, into a narrative that would move people together, to act together. We see visual pictures with actions, emotions, and, language that is used. We relate to that. So these 5 postures, they make up what I see as a future-ready leader to be able to lead, in the 21st century and beyond. Now, I said in this section, there is also what they need to be pondering, or the questions that, they should be asking as a future leader. Question number 1, it would be, if an AI agent could do 30% of my job, my responsibilities tomorrow, what 30% would it be? Or what is it that I'm willing, I would be relieved to give up and say, AI, do this for me? And what is the 30%, or what is the other percentage of the job that you would say, no, this needs my attention. This needs me. Because, I've got the HI. It needs my HI. What is it that you can give to AI? What would remain with you as a leader? Because that answer would reveal for you, for us, what you think leadership actually is. It will tell us. What is it that I'm willing to say, AI, do? What is it that I'm like, no. It cannot be left to the machine to do. So that's a question. That's a future leader. That's a question a future leader needs to be thinking about. Now, the second question, am I building a team where people will bring their AI-assisted output for validation, or a team where people have quietly stopped thinking for themselves and relying on AI? We will touch on this when we talk about the dark side or the dangers of, of AI. So a future-ready leader should be pondering on these questions. You look at your team. Number 3, when was the last time I made a decision that, AI would have made differently? You made that decision, but in your heart of hearts that if it was given to AI, the decision would be different. Okay. And, the last question would be, whose voice in my organization might this AI systems quietly drowning out? Somebody's voice I'm not hearing now this person's voice because of AI. Let me bring an example into this, these questions. We spoke about the context keeper. So let's take this into action. An owner of a township spaza shop is applying for a loan in the bank. And the bank is using this AI credit scoring tool. And for some reason, the loan application gets declined because there is thin digital transaction history, and the AI tool is looking at, I'm not seeing much money coming into this account. So this is the AI. Excuse me. Now, a human branch manager who knew the spaza in that community, understood, he's got the context, and he could see that the spaza is busy. They intervened not to override the model, but to add the missing context. And the missing context was this, there's cash transactions that are taking place. People are not paying with cards. I mean, we can all agree. I don't know why it's still happening, but in the townships, month end, you will see people on the ATMs, they like keeping cash. So the guy there at the spaza, whilst he's got the point of sale terminal, but people are coming in with cash, and he's also enjoying cash. He's doing his own things with cash. Now, when this branch manager, who's human, decided to add in the missing context, then the loan was restructured, And because of this missing data, now that we have this data, the loan was approved. The lesson for leaders, the algorithm, this AI credit scoring tool, it wasn't wrong about the data. It wasn't wrong about the data. But, it was incomplete about the person, who brought the data. AI is not trained to understand this cash that I'm holding on my hand because it works on the information that's been fed into it. So it is forever important that whilst these tools are there, they should never replace us as human beings. Now, section 3, leading teams that include AI agent, because this is where we at now. This is where we at in my company. It's me and my business development manager, and that's an AI agent. Right. Now, we need to treat the AI agent as team members with job descriptions, because this is the biggest shift. When technology comes, somehow, when there's this big technology interruptions that happens, the world goes like, hey, are we in, are we out? I mean, even when we started with email, with computers and all that, technology tends somehow to disrupt how things are. Now, when you are treating your AI agent as another team member, one, you must give it a name and you give it a mandate. Well, I'm saying give it a name. It can stay without a name, but if many of us, which I guess many of the leaders around the table, we've been to SARS website, and we all know Lwazi. I'm Lwazi. I'm here to help. So all the transactions that SARS felt, could be handled by AI. They said, AI, we're naming you Lwazi, and your job is to do A, B, C, D, and whatever. That's all that Lwazi is doing. But, and this is a big but, it does not make final client-facing commitments. And I'm saying commitments because now this is the institution saying, we are committing to you as our client that we will. No, it cannot do that. They are clear. It's just your simple interaction, type of, what sort of, questions you have, how can we help you? So it is important in leading the teams that we, have, we give them a name and the mandate. Number 2, we define the escalation triggers, specify conditions that the agent must have to say, this now needs escalation. And those conditions include ambiguity, compliant, financial threshold, involving human beings, like we've seen with the example on the spaza shop. If it was left to AI, the poor owner of the spaza shop would have been disadvantaged. Lastly, which is the big point, assign human ownership. Every AI agent in your business should have an individual accountable for its outputs. Just like, every employee has a manager or has a leader. So that is important that we need to bring that into the equation. Also, to be future ready, we need to build AI fluency into our leadership and let that be a leadership competency, not an IT project. It must be a competency. It's important. I'm looking at my time, man. I'm behind time. All right. Because we're talking human intelligence, I want also to bring the point that we need to protect the human rhythms in our team that still needs to happen. You may decide that we will have maybe a day in a week where we have a meeting that's agenda free, but we want to be human and we're checking in. What are you struggling with? Is there anything I can help you with? Don't leave everything to AI. We need to have relationships. Relationships are important. No dashboards. We're looking at the dashboards and all that. We need to have, the time where we speak, we engage with our guys. And we need also to be careful, watch for this always on creep. AI agents don't sleep, but people must sleep. Our guys, they need to sleep, they need to recharge. So we need to be setting, boundaries. We shouldn't mirror the machine speed. That's not necessary. Okay, let me talk about governance, because I think governance is also one of the things in this day as we are adopting AI. First, we shouldn't be viewing governance as, a thing that belongs to the compliance department. It is a leadership challenge. Governance is a leadership challenge, because in governance, all that we are saying is it's an organization's way of saying out loud in advance that here is how we behave when no one else is watching. And here is what we refuse to let a machine decide alone in governance. Now, some pillars that would help, in understanding how we need to put the governance in place around AI. One, human in the loop. Human in the loop for consequential decisions, anything that is touching credit scores, like, that spaza shop example, anything that touches people's health, employment, dignity. You must have a named human being that signs off on those, because it affects people. People are not things. Number two, transparency and explainability. If you cannot explain in plain language why AI has reached a certain decision, you are not ready to deploy it for anything that affects humans. Definitely. Number three, it's the bias and fairness audits. You need to be able to schedule independent reviews, of the output across race, gender, age, geography. It should be something that purposefully is within your agenda. I mean, you tell AI, I need an image of a hungry man, and maybe tell me where this man is from. AI will always give you an image of a black man from Africa. That's what it's been taught. Maybe you needed to use a different race, but because of this biasness that it has, it's important that you go back and, you review the output. Accountability mapping for every AI system in use. This is the main point to take. Accountability mapping. For every AI system that is in use, there must be one named human being who is accountable for its outcome, good or bad. There must be a person, not a department, an individual accountable, an individual who would say, this is what we've prompted AI and this is what it has given us, and I'm now validating if this is all right. That's very important. Now, there's a simple governance question to ask before you adopt any AI tool. And that question is, if this tool makes serious mistakes, who in this room loses their job over it? And would they have had the authority to have stopped it? You need to be asking that question. And if the honest answer is nobody, or I don't know, you don't have governance yet. You do not have. You have exposure. You are exposed. Because AI will make mistakes and you won't have a person to hold accountable. Even when you use AI, it says that, AI makes mistakes, validate. So it is important that for every tool that we have a named person who is accountable. Practical starting point for a smaller organization. I mean, you don't need your 40-pager or whatever. You can start with a charter, one pager, covering things like which decisions AI may not make unsupervised. That's one. Which decisions, always need a human, a human interaction. That means AI must refer them. Number 3, how mistakes get reported and reviewed. Who owns each AI tool we use in our organization? This is important, not the department, not the person. We need to boil it down to an individual level. Okay, then how often do we revisit our this governance framework that we are putting in place? Maybe quarterly. Let's do an example so we can demonstrate this. A mid-size recruitment firm noticed that their AI CV screening tool, was quietly filtering out candidates who had the employment gap, and by those candidates, mainly it was women who were returning from maternity leave. Because AI has not been trained to say, people can take leave and, people won't be available. So they are now reporting this. These guys have got gaps in their employment history. But if we have governance in place that we are reviewing quarterly and, we're looking at this output, we are able to catch this earlier on. In the first cycle, we can catch it before it becomes, a discrimination complaint at some stage. So that's the power of putting governance in place and exercising and reviewing it, not just a tick box exercise. Sure, we are out of time, man. I wanted to touch a bit on the dangers, the dark side of AI and how, we can guard against HI depletion. I think I'm speaking from the heart, and I know I've lost my time, my notes, I've lost it.
Please go ahead, Doc. Please go ahead. We want to hear what you
proceed
have
for
to
the
say.
next 5 minutes, Doc. Yeah, proceed for the next 5 minutes.
Let me quickly, yes, okay. Let me, where do I want to, let me just do the dangers, the dark side of AI and guarding against HI depletion. So the real danger, number one, I would say the automation of bias at scale. What is that? And this is one important risk that, a risk that, when we are using AI can make a bad decision much faster, much more consistently, and on a much larger scale than a human being. Automation of bias at scale. That's the dark side. AI doesn't create bias from nothing. It learns from the data and decisions that humans have already made. So it is important that, we understand that if in the past we made one decision that was a bit unfair, that was unfair. AI will replicate that at scale, at speed, like we said when we were contrasting AI and HI. Speed, scale, consistency. 2, erosion of critical thinking. When the answer always come instantly, the muscle of sitting with the hard question can quickly weaken. I do not know now what it feels like to sit with a problem and like scratch my head over it and say to my boss, listen, let me think about this. People quickly want, what is AI? What AI can tell me about this? You are weakening your ability. Your HI is getting lesser and lesser if you rely on it. And number 3, it's overtrust and automation complacency. Teams would start assuming that the machine is right because it's usually right. Automation complacency. There's overtrust, and that becomes a dangerous, and that's where errors slip through, because we do not have this person responsible for taking over and saying, you know what, I am accountable for the output. Okay, so it would be good as well to highlight this HI depletion, because this is what happens when organizations are so much optimized. They are so AI driven, they are efficient, but they are starving the very human capacities, the judgment, the empathy, the courage, the creativity, because now we are giving it all to computers. And we can guard against that as leaders. Protect unproductive thinking time. Deliberately, you must be intentional, looking at how, you give people problems to wrestle with the problem. Guys, let's get around the table. Let us just solve this without taking shortcuts. Even we know, we can take shortcuts. Keep judgment building tasks with junior staff when AI could do them faster. It is important we train our guys to thinking skills, enrich their muscle, empower them. Get used to thinking. Even AI can do it for you. But it's important that you can, apply your mind. It's amazing, the type of person, you amaze yourself as well when you are encountered with a problem. When I teach, personal development with leadership, I say problems introduces us to ourselves. Because then when you like, no, I've never faced this before. Man, I don't know what to do. Let me sleep over it. Let me think about it. The more you focus on it, your attention is on it, all of a sudden the solution comes. But if you just pull it from AI, you are weakening yourself. Now, let me just quickly close. 5 minutes is over. Man.
Thank you.
So where does this whole thing leave us? Technology will keep getting faster. That is the race that we need not run, because machines will always win regardless. We've got the race that is worth our attention, becoming leaders whose judgment, whose care, whose courage, whose sense of what is right becomes more valuable than less in a world full of very fast and very confident machines. This is where we should be going. Leading beyond technology doesn't mean leaving technology behind. It means using it with both hands whilst we keep our feet firmly planted in what makes us irreplaceable human beings. And that is our empathy, our choice of ethics, our ability to look someone in the eye, even if it's through technologies like the Zoom that we're having now, and you mean what you say to them, relationships, connections. AI will never do this for us. I'm sorry I had to rush, but thank you so much for your time, for your attention. Yeah, it's been my pleasure. I just like the subject, and I get excited and I lose myself. Apologies for going over time. I'll now hand back to either Dr. Pet or Pam. Thank you very much.
No, Dr. Pet, please come in. Dr. Ndlovu,
Yeah.
wow, I'm just blown away. you know, and just for me, my background is in HR. Just how you are explaining certain concepts, I'm like, wow, I've never thought about it that way, but maybe not still more time. Dr. Pet, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kacheni. And ladies and gentlemen, let us not be stingy. Let's give him some love. Press those emojis for Dr. Ndlovu. You've done a pretty
Yes.
good job, Doc. So, Doc, in the interest of time, you scared me. There's one expression that you made and it scared me. Pam, that expression is HI depletion.
Mm.
And it really scared me. It shot up my blood pressure. But in the interest of time, Doc, I've got a couple of questions for you. The first one, Doc, is that in the era dominated by AI, what remains uniquely human? Just be succinct in answering these questions. I'm going to start again. In the era or in an era that is highly dominated by HI or AI, what then remains as uniquely human? Be succinct.
So remember my spaza shop example. It was the human being who put in the missing element. Whilst the algorithm was correct, but it's only human who can say, you know what, there's this thing, this is a lived context, lived experience. I've seen this spaza shop. There's trading that's taking place. There's money that's coming through. So your judgment, your empathy, it's what makes us human. Yeah, it's the relationships as well. That is what's making us human. Context keeper. Hey, Tamsanga, thank you. Yes.
No, thanks, Doc. I'm going to try and be quicker because of time. But my next question then is, what prevents people from reaching their full intellectual potential? Just be succinct.
So I believe as individuals, we all have, let me call it a seed of greatness, and we need to cultivate it. So the more we rely on AI, we are not doing justice to our own potential. AI must be there to assist us. First, give it your best shot, and you apply yourself. You apply your mind to that, so that you are stretching. Because once the mind is stretched, it will never return to the same position that it was before. So we need to be comfortable. I think also in this age of ambiguity, we take projects, we only know 20%, but we take them with conviction and we run with them and we give the results. So understanding that, stretching yourself would help you to get to your full potential. But if you are more reliant on what AI has to do, that's why now we talk about prompt engineering. You need to be able to guide you based on what I'm saying. And, we talk about, even your ocean strategy in terms of guiding AI to give you the output that you want. But if you come blank, garbage in, garbage out.
Thank you so much for that, Doc. And I am now wanting to talk to the educator in you. Based on that, why do some highly educated people fail while others with average qualification achieve extraordinary results?
Well, on the extraordinary results, I think it's doing that a little extra that would make a normal human being to become an extraordinary achiever. It really depends. You need to you need to have the appetite to embrace continuous learning. There is this mass ignorance, there's so much of information that we have, and we are almost paralyzed by what we have at our disposal instead of making informed decisions. So I think this is where now, when you are intentional about where you are going, if I'm intentional that I want to play in the AI space or in the leadership space, I should be marinating my life, around leaderships, like you are doing around this virtual table, reading all the books so that, I become extraordinary, because I'm doing that extra that your average person will not do.
Thank you, Doc. But I want to take you now into a workplace environment. And it's a short question that sounds pretty easy, but I'm sure it's not as easy as people think. Then, what are the biggest killers of intelligence in the organization? What are the biggest intelligence killers in the organization?
So I think one of them for me is, that we have always done things this way type of syndrome. This is how things are done here. And when the new knowledge surfaces and the leader is not really prepared to embrace change, if we cannot change, we remain the same, we're gonna always get the same results that we have always been getting. So it is in embracing change that we are able to move forward.
Well, I want us now to focus on the sector of future focus. You've been talking about future focus. So one of the questions that I want us to embark on is that if you could change just one thing about how organizations develop people, what would that be?
Oh, yeah. I think for me, I'm currently, I think I did mention that earlier on, that, okay, before the organizations, because we are trying now to teach adults who have already kind of have grown into a way of thinking, a way of being. We need to take one step back before we get into the organizations, where at early ages, where we can still kind of at the formation stage, when they are still in their formation stages, primary schools, teach them these things. It's the advantage that will make them better leaders tomorrow. So it needs to start before the organizations. It needs to start there. When we are at the organizations, we need to do a thorough, I would say, assessment in terms of, when I talk leadership, for me, leadership, it's something to do with the person before it's to do with the, with the people who are reporting to you. At a person level, who are you? What are your values? We need to have that assessment. And if we can get that assessment to say, you know what, Dr. Peck is this kind of person, and these are what they value, then we know where to kind of focus our development efforts, if that makes sense.
Lovely talk. And I want us now to reflect, and then we'll do a closing question from my side, and then I'm going to invite some of our colleagues to ask a question or two. As a way of reflecting, Doc, what is one myth about intelligence that you wish people would stop believing?
That you are born, either you are born smart or you are born dumb. I mean, right now, our children, they, just because they wrote an assessment, that was going to decide for them whether they can do maths or not, they are told that you are not capable to do maths, then you must do the subjects that won't open that many doors for you. I think that's a myth. We all possess the intelligence of becoming. If you can get someone who can say, I believe in you, I can see inside you, there's that seed of greatness, you can become something. I mean, change the narrative. There's nothing like maths is difficult and all that. We just need to change the narrative, the story, and let people believe in their potential. Because brain, for me, I mean, brain is brain. You use your brain. Brain is just brain, and let's not be lazy when it has to be thinking, and let's stretch it. People need to know, come out of your comfort zone and be comfortable, being in your challenge zone, stretch your mind. And the more you stretch your mind, the more you also become sharper, in your area.
Yeah, Doc, now a closing question. Then after this closing question, I'm going to invite Dr. Tembi Mashinin to basically issue just a comment or a question. But a closing question from me is that if everyone listening to you and I today could remember just one lesson about unlocking human intelligence, what would you want that lesson to be?
All right. So, yeah, about this. For me, it's understanding that I must remain human. I must remain human. I must not try to be a machine. So, as in my opening statement, I was saying, we need to out-human the machine so that we remain humans and the machines remain, the computers remains the machine. Understand that you have it in you. You can become, you can lead yourself in that direction.
Thank you so much. I just want to take the discussion to our guests right now, and I'm going to ask them to be succinct. Just allow them to influence the dynamics for today. Dr. Mashinini, be succinct. A question from you.
Thank you, Dr. Mazibuko. Dr. Ndlovu, thank you very much for the presentation. Very insightful, very informative and exciting. You know, when people talk about AI, you always have these questions that you don't have answers for. But
Sure.
what is exciting is that we talk about these things that are bothering us. So I just want to affirm or support what you have presented to say this fusion of machine and human is going to pose a serious challenge to leaders because the context has changed that will call a different kind of leadership from us as leaders. Thank you very much. I'll stop there.
No, thank you so much. And I'll come back to you, Dr. Jenny. I want to go to basically Linda Tongo and then Lebohang in that order, just like half a second, colleagues. Linda Tongo, Sis Linda, and then Lebohang in that order.
Thank you, Doctor. My question is more about prompt engineering. And I think for me, it's a big takeaway. The view is that you are currently involved with youth because you believe that human intelligence needs to start young. So
Yes.
is it then also equating to the fact that even at that age, they also need the skill of prompt engineering so
Wow.
that they can use AI more effectively?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sis
Dr.
Linda. Doc, I'm going to allow you to basically respond because of time. I just want to invite Lebohang to basically make a comment or a question, and then we're going to go back to Dr. Kajeni. Lebohang?
Thank you, Dr. Mazibuko. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you very much for the nice discussion this evening. I'm very passionate also about leadership. Everything rises and falls because of leadership, visionary leadership. And I mean, with AI, I'm also in IT space. AI is everywhere, and we can only trust our leaders in our government, in our schooling, start introducing these skills at a very early age, because technology is the way to go. Whatever you do, it touches technology. So thank you very much for this discussion. And yeah, certainly I've learned a lot. Thank you, Dr. Mazibuko.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Ndlovu, I'm going to allow you about just 3 minutes to sort of encapsulate what has been said, and then I'm going to go to Pam after that. In that order, please. Over to you, Doc.
Yeah, definitely less than 3 minutes. I think the question from Dr. Kongo, the comment and the question for me, it's really sitting in my heart. I'm gonna answer it with if I say let's look at China. A lot of innovation, whether it's cars, whether it's the solar system, everything made in China. What is happening? What their schooling system? What is it that they have? They learn at early ages, the skills that we need. We've been robbed, I think maybe back in the apartheid government, where we were asked to learn about locust, something that I don't even use in my life. I studied locust like I knew it, but it's not helping me. So taking computers right to the primary age, that's my dream. That's what I see happening. Teaching them about leadership, teaching them about personal development, and computers, specifically AI. Definitely, it's a yes. We need to start there.
Thank you so much. Pam, can I ask you to hold your space? I want to go to Palesa and then go to Chris. And after that, I'm going to hand back to you, Pam. Palesa, please, do you have anything to say? And then Chris, in that order.
Good evening, Dr. Pat, and thank you so much. Apologies I joined late, but this was very, very much informative for me. It is also a very topic of interest to me, especially touching in what is happening in the workplace right now. I also like the idea that, yes, it needs to start at a very, very younger age. I mean, we need to encourage our children to go to these robotics and everything and so on and so on. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Palesa. Let me go to Chris and then finally Pam.
Thanks, Dr. Pat, and thanks to the doc for the insightful presentation. Yeah, I think it's a relevant topic which we can no longer ignore because AI is a reality, but I like the fact that we need to strike a balance between human intelligence and AI because at the end of the day, we need to be able to value the positive side of AI and its shortcomings or setbacks in terms of replacing the human intelligence. So I think if we can strike a good balance, it will work in our favor so that we don't outsource our capabilities and thinking to AI, because otherwise we'll be turning what we're not intended to be as human beings. So it's very much important to guard against the danger of allowing AI to fully take over. But I do agree that AI is here to stay. Let us embrace it, but also ensuring that we retain our human intelligence to ensure that we are able to get the desired outcome. So thanks, Dr. Pet.
No, thank you so much. Babu Ndlovu, may I invite you to come in, bearing in mind that Pam has disappeared for a while. Anything that you want to say, Babu Ndlovu? Innocent? All right. Dr. Katenia.
Dr. Pat, can you hear us? Dr. Pat?